Let's now talk about the COVID-19 pandemic because the Ghana Employers Association is asking business owners to direct their workers to stay at home or work from home if they have flu-like symptoms in spite of the travel history. The association is also cautioning against physical meetings and events which it says could threaten the lives of workers. This, according to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Employers Association, Alex Frimpong, forms part of measures and guidelines to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic at workplaces. The association believes non-compliance of the safety protocols will be very dire to the survival of the businesses. In a statement issued in the last few hours, it's giving about 8 protocols that should be observed at the workplace, and it is encouraging employers to ensure it works. And 1, to provide adequate facilities, that is soap, hand sanitizers, and the rest, to encourage workers, contractors, and customers to practice workplace hygiene, frequent hand hygiene, avoid touching eyes, nose, mouth. 2, create the enabling environment for physical distancing at the workplace through demarcated intervals of at least 1 meter intervals. 3, consider the introduction of appropriate shift systems for employees and allow those who can work from home to do so without compromising standards and productivity where the nature of the business operation permits. It goes on to talk about to fumigate and disinfect the workplace regularly. A schedule for the fumigation and disinfection should be pasted on notice boards for the information of workers, customers, clients, and other stakeholders. And also to reduce physical meetings and events because there's a risk that people attending the meeting might expose others to the COVID-19 virus. Also talks about constituting safety committees to deal with issues concerning COVID-19. The safety committee should appoint focal persons who shall have the responsibility of liaising with health professionals in the event of an outbreak of the virus, and then direct workers to stay at home and or work from home if they have flu-like symptoms, example, fever, cough, etc., regardless of travel or contact history. And lastly, change workplace culture, which includes to stop handshaking, workers taking lunch at own desk or outside rather than in the cafeteria or break rooms, limit sharing of food in workplaces. And it goes on to say that the GA wishes to remind all employers to resort to the use of dialogue and collaborate with their workers to conform to these basic actions and measures to protect the health and security of employees and their families, as well as sustain the enterprises. It's also encouraging workers themselves to adhere strictly with the COVID-19 protocols and guidelines, even after work, when they join their families back at home and in their communities. Workers are also encouraged to comply with employers' directives and policies to vaccinate the workforce of the organization when the vaccines become available. And the association also assures government, so it calls on government also to support businesses because of how this will affect. And it says GE urges government to accelerate the implementation of the 100 billion cities Ghana COVID-19 alleviation and revitalization of enterprises support program, which is designed to cushion businesses and keep the economy on the path of rapid recovery. The association has assured government of its full support and cooperation in obliging to get rid of the pandemic, and it's signed by Alex Frimpong, Chief Executive Officer. And thankfully, Alex Frimpong, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Employers Association, joins us via Zoom for more. Mr. Frimpong, I'm grateful for your time. Are there measures to ensure the full compliance of these guidelines?
Thank you for having me. I think the essence of the release is to continuously admonish and request employers to abide by the protocols that are already known to us so that we are able to withstand the potential impact of the COVID in workplaces and also in the various communities.
Do you have a monitoring mechanism? I'm talking about one to collaborate with the the Ministry of Employment to actually monitor how this is complied with in all the workplaces you're talking about?
Well, in another communique that was signed by or issued by the National Tripartite Committee, the parties tasked the Labour Department through the Labour Inspection mechanism to, from time to time, visit workplaces to ensure that these protocols are fully complied with by employers and report back to the plenary for further discussions if there are deviations which will require the intervention of the National Tripartite Committee and by extension the various social partners.
Is there any sanction regime for employers who do not abide by this directive?
Well, so far we have not come to that. And for the time that these communiques were issued, at least my personal rounds or visits to the various organizations show that they have done even more than enough. And because they know that the stakes for them are very high. If this pandemic is not really handled properly, the very survival of their businesses are at stake. And they fully endorse the view that the protocols must be fully complied with. So I'm not sure sanction is an option. Now, of course, there may be deviance here and there, but by and large, the larger employers community believe that they have to collaborate with government and other agencies to ensure that we rid this country of the pandemic. Because if we are not careful, the economy, if it's affected seriously, then we don't have any business, and the employment may also suffer.
Knowing too well that businesses sometimes are concerned about their profit and utmost productivity and may not be able to comply with, for instance, the protocol of putting workers into shift systems, what exactly are you doing to ensure that the workplace is not crowded?
Well, as I alluded to earlier on, this is a pandemic that threatens the very existence of businesses. So if you are not careful, even the profit that you have in mind, you may not even live to enjoy that profit. So the primary concern of every business as we have this conversation is that let us work together to rid this country of the pandemic. Otherwise, no matter what plans and programs you put in place, you are not likely to succeed. So I can assure you that businesses take this issue of handling the pandemic very, very, very serious. And I'm sure that takes precedence over any other consideration that they have. So trust me, businesses are working with the health authorities to make sure that we work together to rid this country of the pandemic. Because any projection that you make, if the pandemic is still with us, you cannot make any progress.